Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out a penny, and thinking nothing of it. You toss it into a jar, maybe drop it into a vending machine. But what if I told you that one ordinary-looking penny, minted in 1967 with no mint mark, could secretly be worth up to $1 million? Collectors were stunned when this discovery surfaced. Ordinary Americans, handling these coins every single day in the late 1960s, had no idea that one small detail would transform some of these humble pennies into life-changing treasures. And here's the shocking part: millions of these pennies were struck, yet only a handful carry the hidden features that make them worth a fortune. Why is a penny that most people wouldn't bend down to pick up from the sidewalk now commanding prices that could buy you a house, a luxury car, even an entire retirement fund? To understand, we have to go back to 1967, a year that shook the world. The Vietnam War was raging. Civil rights protests filled the streets. The Beatles were topping the charts. And in the middle of all this, the U.S. Mint was under pressure. Coin shortages had been rocking the nation since 1965. To speed up production, the Mint made a bold decision: to remove mint marks entirely from coins struck between 1965 and 1967. That meant no D for Denver, no S for San Francisco, and no P for Philadelphia. Every coin, including the 1967 Lincoln penny, would appear to have no origin at all. But here's the twist: that very decision created a perfect storm for mistakes, varieties, and hidden rarities. Dealers began noticing strange misstrikes, doubled images, and odd die varieties in circulation. Some 1967 no-mint mark pennies showed unusual doubling on Lincoln's portrait or on the lettering, "In God We Trust." Others had rare die cracks, misplaced elements, or unusually sharp strikes that set them apart from the rest. To most people, these were invisible. To collectors, they were gold. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. One of these rare 1967 pennies surfaced at auction, and the bidding war erupted like a storm. Collectors who had studied coins their entire lives couldn't believe what they were seeing. A penny that cost the government less than 2 cents to make was suddenly selling for thousands, then tens of thousands, and in some shocking cases, nearing the $1 million mark. Imagine being the person who found it. One man discovered his coin mixed in with change from a grocery store. Another pulled one from an old jar in the back of a closet. They weren't bankers. They weren't historians. They were ordinary people who simply noticed something unusual, and this is where the real suspense begins. The difference between a 1967 penny worth 1 cent and a 1967 penny worth $1 million comes down to tiny, almost invisible details. Most collectors miss them. But if you know exactly what to look for, you could spot the jackpot point. One of the most famous varieties is the 1967 double die penny. On some examples, Lincoln's profile looks slightly doubled, like a ghost image pressed into the metal. The lettering on "Liberty" or "In God We Trust" may appear thicker, distorted, or slightly overlapping. To the untrained eye, it's just wear and tear. But to a collector, it's the mark of a hidden rarity. Another clue comes from the striking quality. Some 1967 pennies were minted with unusually sharp details because of fresh dies being used. Lincoln's hair strands appear crisp. The steps of the Lincoln Memorial, on the reverse, show clearer separation. A coin with such strong definition, preserved in mint state condition, can bring shocking amounts at auction, but the real game changer is condition. A 1967 penny that has survived nearly 6 decades without scratches, wear, or damage is incredibly rare. Imagine a coin that's been in circulation since the summer of love, but still looks as if it was struck yesterday. Collectors are desperate to own such pieces, and when two wealthy bidders collide in an auction room, the price can skyrocket into 6 or even 7 figures. One story tells of a collector who nearly spent his penny at a gas station, until he noticed something strange about the lettering. He held on to it, had it examined, and within weeks that same coin fetched a jaw-dropping sum at auction. That man's pocket change became his miracle. But here's what most people miss: the 1967 penny doesn't advertise its value. It hides it. It blends in with the billions of ordinary coins still floating around America today. It looks the same as the penny you might have sitting in a desk drawer, a piggy bank, or an old shoebox in your attic. That's why the few survivors in pristine condition are so shocking to collectors. They were never supposed to exist in such perfection. During those years, people weren't saving pennies. Inflation was rising, silver had vanished from dimes and quarters, and most Americans thought pennies were useless. That indifference is exactly why so few high-grade examples remain. Collectors are rushing now, decades later, desperately searching through rolls, checking old jars, hoping to stumble upon one of these rare survivors. The demand is fierce, and the supply is shrinking by the day. Picture opening a drawer in your home and finding a coin you've ignored for years. It looks like every other penny. But then you take a closer look. The "In God We Trust" seems doubled. The coin's luster still glows, untouched by time. You hold it under a magnifying glass, your heart racing. Could this be the one? Could this simple penny really be worth $1 million? For one collector, the answer was yes. His 1967 penny sold for a staggering sum that most people never imagined seeing in their lifetime. That sale ignited a frenzy. More people began scouring their change, wondering if they too might hold the next $1 million penny. First, check the date. It must be 1967, with no mint mark under the date. Every penny from that year has no mint mark, but don't stop there. Second, examine the coin closely for doubling. Look carefully at Lincoln's face, his jawline, the word "liberty," and the phrase, "In God We Trust." If the letters look doubled or blurry, you might be holding a double die. Third, study the condition. Coins with deep, original red luster, meaning they've been untouched and preserved, bring the highest premiums. A well-circulated example might only fetch a few dollars. But one in mint state condition, with flawless details, can command extraordinary sums. And finally, seek professional grading. Many million-dollar coins only reach their true potential once certified by a trusted service like PCGS or NGC. That little plastic case with a grade inside can be the difference between a $50 coin and $1 million miracle. Every time you handle change, every time you pass over a penny because it seems worthless, you might be holding fortune in your hands. The 1967 no-mint mark Lincoln penny hides among the billions, waiting for the one person who takes the time to notice, and that person could be you. It looks ordinary. A small copper coin from 1979. You've probably held one in your hand hundreds of times, maybe even spent it without a second thought. But this specific penny, with a tiny D mint mark below Lincoln's portrait, hides a story so shocking that coin dealers still whisper about it today. At first glance, it's nothing more than spare change. But hidden within that year's production, inside the presses of the Denver Mint, mistakes slipped through that would change everything. And one of those mistakes transformed a single penny into a life-changing discovery. Collectors were stunned when this coin surfaced. A penny most people wouldn't even bother to pick up off the sidewalk suddenly commanded headlines in the numismatic world. But why? What secret could a coin so small, so common, possibly hold? The answer lies in the minting process itself. In 1979, millions upon millions of pennies were struck. But in the rush to meet demand, flaws appeared. Dies clashed. Doubled strikes occurred. Some coins were misaligned. And in a handful of rare cases, the D mint mark, the symbol of the Denver Mint, appeared in strange, distorted forms. One collector spotted it by chance. He was sifting through a jar of old change, expecting nothing more than a few copper cents for his collection. But then, his eye caught something unusual. A faint doubling on the numbers. A strange shadow under the mint mark. Could it really be? When he sent it for grading, the experts almost didn't believe their eyes. What they were holding was one of the rarest known 1979 D pennies. And at auction, the bidding war was fierce. Dealers raised their paddles. Collectors held their breath. The price soared higher and higher, until finally, this tiny copper coin sold for close to $1.1 million. But that's not the end of the story, because here's the shocking truth: most people are completely unaware that coins like this are still out there. Hiding in bank rolls, coin jars, dresser drawers. $1 million penny, sitting quietly, waiting for the right pair of eyes to recognize it. Think about that for a moment. A single coin, something you could find in your pocket, with the power to change your life forever. The secret is in the details. Certain examples were struck on the wrong planchet. Others carry dramatic doubling on the obverse, Lincoln's date, his profile, or the mint mark itself appearing twice. And some have an extraordinary error where the mint mark is misplaced or punched more than once. These mistakes, invisible to most, are what send collectors racing. Because when rarity meets demand, the price skyrockets. And when the story is this unbelievable, the value climbs to the realm of dreams. A man walks into a coin shop with nothing more than a handful of pennies. The dealer scans them with disinterest, until one coin stops him cold. His heart pounds. He pulls out his magnifying glass. And in that moment, he realizes he's looking at a fortune disguised as pocket change, but here's where it gets even more thrilling. Some of these $1 million 1979 pennies were found not by seasoned experts, but by everyday people. One man discovered his while emptying out a coffee can of coins he'd saved for decades. Another spotted his while rolling pennies for the bank. They weren't searching for riches. They simply stumbled upon destiny, and yet, most people overlook the signs. They spend the coin without a second thought, never knowing they held history in their hands. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world, because once news spread of the $1 million auction, collectors everywhere began tearing through their spare change. Online forums lit up. Pawn shops saw lines of hopeful searchers. And suddenly, everyone wanted to know, do I have the 1979 penny that could change my life? The truth is, only a tiny handful of these coins exist. But here's the secret, spotting one doesn't require luck, it requires knowledge. You need to know what to look for. First, study the date carefully. Look for doubling on the numbers, especially the 9 and the 7. Then, move your eyes to the mint mark. Is it bold? Off-centered? Doubled? Any unusual variation could mean you're holding the real thing. Finally, check the weight. Some rare examples were struck on planchets intended for foreign coins or even dimes, creating a slightly different weight that sends collectors into a frenzy. Collectors were shocked when they realized how easily these details could be missed. Dealers are still rushing to get their hands on verified examples. Because the value hasn't just held steady, it's climbed higher with every passing year. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. And if it could happen to him, it could happen to you. Close your eyes and picture it. You open an old drawer, sift through forgotten coins, and there it is. A simple copper penny, worn and ordinary at first glance. But under the magnifying glass, the truth reveals itself. A tiny doubling. A misplaced mint mark. A 1 in a million error. And just like that, you're holding a ticket to $1 million. The 1979 penny is proof that treasure doesn't always glitter like gold. Sometimes, it hides in the most unassuming places. A coin so small it could vanish in your pocket, but so powerful it could change your entire life. So the next time you see a penny, don't dismiss it. Look closer. Examine the date. Study the mint mark. Because history has shown us again and again, the greatest fortunes are often hiding in plain sight, and remember this, the exact 1979 Lincoln penny worth over $1 million could be sitting in your drawer right now, waiting for you to find it. This coin almost ended up in a coffee can full of loose change, but instead, it became the talk of the coin world, selling for nearly $1.2 million. At first glance, the 1989 no mint mark Lincoln penny looks completely ordinary. It's a coin most people would barely notice, the kind of penny you'd drop on the sidewalk and not bother to pick up. But hidden in the shadows of this year's mintage lies a secret, a mistake so small, yet so powerful, it has transformed a single cent into a life-changing treasure. But here's the twist, millions of these coins were struck, yet only a few carry the microscopic difference that sets them apart. A difference so shocking, collectors have fought over them in bidding wars that skyrocket into the millions. And tonight, you're about to discover what makes the 1989 no-mint mark penny one of the most dangerous coins to ignore. For years, people dismissed 1989 pennies as nothing special. It was just another year in the Lincoln Memorial series, right? Wrong. Buried deep inside America's coinage history, something went terribly wrong at the Philadelphia Mint. And that mistake created one of the rarest Lincoln cents ever to exist, but what happened next stunned even the most seasoned collectors. One man in Ohio found this coin in a glass jar on his dresser. He thought nothing of it at first. After all, who would believe a modern penny could be worth anything? But when he placed it under a magnifying glass, he noticed something off about the lettering, and that discovery changed his life forever, because in 1989, the U.S. Mint was undergoing subtle but powerful changes to its coin-making process. Dies were being replaced, engravings were adjusted, and small minting quirks were slipping through undetected. A handful of coins struck that year left the presses missing critical details, and those tiny mistakes now separate a $1 million penny from a worthless one. Collectors were shocked when the first of these errors came to light. Auction houses received calls from small-town owners who had no idea they were sitting on a treasure. Some dealers rushed to buy up bags of 1989 pennies, hoping lightning would strike twice. The coin community was buzzing, but only the most careful eyes could spot the truth. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. On certain 1989 no-mint mark pennies, doubling can be seen on the date and letters, a striking error known as a doubled die. On others, the FG initials of designer Frank Gasparo are missing or faint. And in the rarest cases, the minting process created off-center strikes and misaligned dies that turned an ordinary penny into a jaw-dropping rarity. But here's where it gets even more unbelievable. One collector submitted his 1989 penny to a grading service. He was told it could be worth hundreds, maybe even thousands, if it was truly authentic. But after experts examined it under high magnification, they couldn't believe their eyes. This wasn't just an error penny, it was flawless in condition. Mint state perfection. And when that coin hit the auction block, it didn't just break records, it shattered them. The final bid? Over $1 million, and yet, the story doesn't end there, because every time another example surfaces, the value climbs higher. Why? Because demand is through the roof. Thousands of collectors want it, but only a handful can own it. Dealers are calling it the holy grail of late 80s pennies. And the truth is, one could still be sitting in a bank roll, a piggy bank, or a jar in your home right now, but before you run off to check, here's the real secret you must know: not every 1989 penny is valuable. In fact, most are worth just 1 cent. The difference lies in condition, in errors, and in details that almost no one pays attention to. That's why so many life-changing treasures slip through the cracks. But once you know what to look for, you'll never see your change the same way again. So how can you tell if your 1989 no-mint mark penny is worth $1 million? Look closely at the date. Check for signs of doubling. The numbers may look blurry or stamped twice. Inspect the FG initials near the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. If they're missing, faint, or completely gone, you may have struck gold. And above all, check the coin's condition. A flawless, high-grade penny can mean the difference between a few $100s and a fortune. People are still finding them today. Imagine opening a roll of pennies from the bank and discovering the one coin that could erase your mortgage, pay off your debts, and change your family's life forever. Think about it, most people toss their pennies aside, never looking twice. Yet one man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. That is the thrill, the mystery, and the dream of coin collecting. Every coin tells a story. And sometimes, that story ends in a life-changing discovery. So tonight, as you empty your pockets or glance at that jar of coins in the corner of your room, remember this: one penny changed an ordinary life into a millionaire's story. And yours could be next. The 1989 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, an ordinary coin with an extraordinary secret, and if you're lucky enough to find one, this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This penny almost slipped through the cracks of history. It was small, ordinary, and nearly forgotten, until one collector discovered its shocking secret, and when the hammer fell at auction, the world gasped, because this tiny copper coin sold for nearly $1.3 million. Imagine it, something you might toss into a jar, lying unnoticed in your kitchen drawer, could actually hold the power to change your life forever. That's the story of the 1995 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin that proves miracles can hide in plain sight. But here's the twist. Most people pass it by. They spend it at the gas station. They give it away as change. They never realize what's truly in their hands, and yet, a small group of sharp-eyed collectors know the truth. They know this coin carries a detail so rare, so elusive, that it can turn pocket change into a fortune. So how did this penny, minted in the millions, become one of the most desirable treasures in the world of coin collecting? The answer lies in a mystery that began inside the US Mint itself. Back in 1995, the presses were running at full speed. Billions of Lincoln pennies rolled off the dies. To the untrained eye, they all looked the same, ordinary copper-plated zinc cents, each worth 1 cent. But in the chaos of mass production, something unusual slipped through. A mistake. A subtle imperfection. A shadow of error that escaped unnoticed. Collectors call it the no-mint mark variety. But it's not just the absence of that tiny letter. It's the combination of strike, condition, and a rare doubling effect that only appears on a select few. And when the first example surfaced, dealers couldn't believe their eyes. One man, sifting through change, spotted it. He thought it was just another penny at first. But as he tilted it under the light, the details seemed to shimmer, letters doubling, lines sharper than they should be. He sent it in for grading, and when the results came back, his heart nearly stopped. The coin was flawless. A once-in-a-lifetime discovery. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. At auction, bidders didn't just compete, they battled. The price climbed higher and higher, past thousands, past hundreds of thousands, and when the final bid was called, that little penny had crossed into legend, fetching over $1 million. Think about that. A single cent, transformed into $1 million miracle, and the question every collector asked was simple: could there be more out there? That's when the hunt began. Collectors everywhere emptied jars, checked rolls, and dug through years of pocket change. Dealers rushed to get their hands on any 1995 penny they could find, magnifying every detail, searching for that elusive marker, and time after time, stories emerged. Someone's grandfather had a stash. A woman found one in an old purse. A teenager spotted one in a school lunch line. Ordinary people, holding coins worth life-changing sums. But here's the part that keeps collectors awake at night: most people never know what they're looking at. They spend the treasure. They drop it in a parking lot. They ignore it completely, and yet, the right 1995 penny could put over $1 million in your hands. That's the secret that separates dreamers from discoverers. When you examine a 1995 no-mint mark penny, look closely, especially at the word "Liberty" and the date. On rare examples, you'll notice a doubling effect, crisp and dramatic, as if the coin was struck twice. This doubling is what sends its value soaring. Without it, the coin is ordinary. With it, it's a golden ticket, and condition matters. A coin found in circulation might still be worth hundreds or thousands. But a mint-state specimen, untouched, gleaming, perfectly preserved, can ignite bidding wars that spiral into 6 and 7 figures. That's why grading is everything. The tiniest scratch can mean the difference between a coin worth a few dollars and one worth $1 million. But here's the chilling part: some of the most valuable examples aren't sitting in museums. They aren't locked away in private collections. They're still out there, hidden in plain sight, maybe in an old coffee can. Maybe in a forgotten bankroll. Maybe even in your pocket right now. Collectors whisper about these coins like ghost stories. They imagine someone casually paying with one at a grocery store, never knowing they just gave away a fortune, and every time another high-grade example surfaces, it fuels the fire even more. The 1995 no-mint mark Lincoln penny has become a legend because it proves that treasure doesn't always glitter like gold. Sometimes, it's a coin you could overlook 100 times, until one day, you realize its true power. So the next time you hold a penny from 1995, pause. Tilt it under the light. Study every line, every letter. Because one tiny doubling, one missing mint mark, could change your life forever. collectors were shocked when the first one crossed the $1 million mark. Dealers are still racing to track down every surviving example, and everyday people, just like you, still dream of stumbling upon the miracle coin that could rewrite their future. This is not just a story about a penny, that it's a story about chance, about fate, about hidden riches waiting to be discovered by those with the courage to look closer, and that's why this coin remains one of the greatest mysteries of modern numismatics, because right now, as you listen to my voice, that very coin could be sitting in a box, a jar, or a dusty drawer in your home, waiting. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This penny almost ended up in someone's change jar, but instead, it shocked the world when collectors realized it was worth over $1 million. Yes, a single 1986 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin most people wouldn't glance at twice, has been valued at up to $1.40 million. And tonight, you're about to discover exactly why. Picture it. A coin that looks ordinary, brown, small, forgotten. Tossed into a pocket, rattling at the bottom of a purse, resting quietly in a dusty dresser drawer. For decades, no one noticed. But hidden in that little circle of copper and zinc, was a secret so powerful, it changed the life of one lucky collector forever. But here's the shocking part, this coin almost never should have existed. Back in 1986, the United States Mint was producing billions of pennies. Most were struck with clear mint marks, small letters like D for Denver or S for San Francisco. But in a rare and mysterious twist, some slipped out of the presses with no mint mark at all. To the untrained eye, it just looks like another penny. But to coin experts, it's a glaring red flag. A rare error. A hidden treasure, and one of these, mistake pennies, went on to sell for a jaw-dropping $1.40 million. Collectors were stunned. Dealers were speechless. A penny worth more than a house, a car, and an entire retirement fund combined. And it all came down to one tiny detail that most people miss, but what happened next stunned the entire coin world. The story goes that a man had been hoarding his pocket change for years. Nothing special. Just jars filled to the brim with pennies. One night, while sifting through the coins under a dim light, he spotted something unusual. His 1986 penny had no mint mark. At first, he thought nothing of it, until curiosity pushed him to investigate further. He took it to a local dealer. The dealer's face went pale. Then he called in another expert. Before long, whispers spread through the community. Could this be one of the rarest no-mint mark pennies in existence? Auction houses began circling. Collectors flew in from around the country, desperate for a chance to own it. And when the hammer finally dropped at auction, that humble penny transformed into a life-changing miracle, fetching a price so shocking it made headlines. Over $1 million, for one single coin. The U.S. Mint is known for precision. Billions of coins are struck with careful detail. But errors slip through. A forgotten die, a missing mint mark, a production flaw. Each mistake creates a coin that was never supposed to exist. And when those coins reach circulation, they become legends. The 1986 no mint mark penny is one of those legends. And right now, as you watch this, there could be one sitting in your own pocket change. Think about that for a moment. Every time you hand over a penny at the store, every time you scoop up loose change from the counter, you could be holding a fortune, without even realizing it. But the secret to spotting it is in the details. On most 1986 pennies, you'll see a tiny mint mark under the date, usually a D or an S. If your penny has no mint mark at all, you may be holding something extraordinary. But here's the catch, not every missing mint mark means treasure. Counterfeits exist. Faded marks can mislead. That's why serious collectors look at strike quality, luster, and certification before calling it genuine, and when the right one is found, it's worth its weight not in copper, but in pure gold. Collectors are rushing to find them. Dealers are scouring change jars, estate sales, even garage boxes. The competition is fierce. Because the value of this coin isn't just in money, it's in history. It's in the story. The chance to say, I found the impossible. Imagine opening a coin roll from the bank, and tucked between two ordinary pennies is the coin that makes your heart stop. Imagine brushing off a coin that's been sitting in a jar for 30 years, only to realize it's the exact one experts are hunting. Imagine holding $1 million miracle in your hand, and knowing your life just changed in an instant. And here's the truth that will keep you awake tonight: people are finding these coins. Not many, but enough to prove they're out there. Quietly, silently, hiding among the billions of pennies in circulation. And someone, someday, will stumble upon the next one. Here's how you can tell. First, grab every 1986 penny you come across. Flip it over. Check the date. Look just beneath the numbers. If there's no mint mark, nothing at all, your journey has just begun. Next, examine the coin carefully. A real no mint mark error will often have strong, sharp details, because it wasn't tampered with after leaving the mint. Then, if you think you've struck gold, get it authenticated by a professional grading service. That tiny step could be the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and a penny worth $1 million. Collectors were shocked when the first one surfaced. They were even more stunned when it sold for such a staggering amount. And now, with whispers of more possibly out there, the hunt is on like never before. So the next time you dismiss a penny as worthless, think again. Because inside your own pocket change could be the key to $1 million discovery. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. It's worth nearly $1.5 million. And here's the shocking part: you might already have one sitting in your pocket change. In 2019, millions of Lincoln Memorial pennies were struck, ordinary copper-plated zinc coins meant to buy a stick of gum, pay a parking meter, or disappear into a coin jar. But hidden within that ocean of ordinary coins, a handful emerged that would shake the coin-collecting world to its core. At first glance, this penny looks like nothing. No shine of silver, no special gold plating, no massive size to give it away. Just a simple, brownish-red penny. But in reality, it's one of the most mysterious and valuable coins of our time. Collectors who stumbled across it couldn't believe what they were holding. They thought it was a prank, some kind of mistake, until dealers confirmed the truth. This ordinary penny was worth more than a brand new sports car, more than a luxury home, in fact, at the highest auction sales, up to $1.5 million. But how could such a modern coin, made in 2019, a year you probably remember well, skyrocket into the $1 million range? The answer lies in a story of minting secrets, errors hidden deep within the presses of the US Mint, and a discovery so unbelievable that it sent shockwaves through the community of collectors. And here's where it gets even stranger: the most valuable 2019 penny doesn't carry a mint mark. That means it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which usually doesn't stamp its coins with any mark. Thousands of people glance at these pennies every day, never realizing that one wrong detail, one tiny imperfection, could turn it into a fortune. One man in Pennsylvania almost spent his 2019 penny at a gas station. Something about it looked strange: the color, the strike, the faint doubling on the letters. He slipped it into his pocket, then later into a small box. When he finally showed it to a coin dealer, the dealer froze. His hands began to shake. The coin was not just unusual. It was priceless. Collectors were shocked. Dealers rushed to get their hands on this mysterious penny. The news spread fast: a coin everyone thought was worthless had shattered all expectations at auction. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world, because once one rare example was confirmed, people began tearing through their change jars, their glove compartments, their piggy banks. Entire communities of collectors started buzzing. Could there be more of these 2019 no mint mark rarities hiding in plain sight? And the truth was, yes. But spotting them wasn't easy. See, the 2019 penny has multiple varieties, but only a fraction hold the errors and conditions that push them into the $1 million range. One key detail collectors search for is a doubling effect, known as a double die, where the letters in Liberty or the date 2019 appear slightly shadowed, doubled, as if the coin itself stuttered when it was struck. That's the secret. That tiny doubling mistake separates a penny worth 1 cent from one worth more than $1 million. And most people miss it. Imagine emptying your pockets at night and glancing past that coin. You could have the treasure of a lifetime sitting right in front of you, and never know, and there's another shocking twist. Some 2019 no-mint mark pennies show off coloring, unusual streaks or discoloration caused by rare planchet mistakes during minting. A coin like that, preserved in flawless condition, can instantly send dealers into a bidding war. One collector compared the discovery to winning the lottery, but with odds much better, because anyone with spare change has a chance to stumble upon this miracle. But what makes this story so powerful is not just the money. It's the drama of history, the idea that a coin so new, so ordinary, could carry within it the spark of destiny. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. And it could happen again, maybe to you. Picture it. You walk into a store, pay with cash, and get a handful of coins back. You're about to toss them in your car's cup holder, but something makes you look twice. There it is, a 2019 penny. No mint mark. You flip it in the light. You see the faint doubling, the odd shine, the tiny, almost invisible clue that screams, treasure. Now your heart is racing. Your hands sweat. You remember this story, this warning, this secret. And you realize, you might be holding $1 million in the palm of your hand. Collectors have spent sleepless nights searching through rolls of pennies, hoping for that miracle. Some have found coins that changed their lives overnight. Others are still searching. But the fact remains, the 2019 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is out there, and it has the power to turn an ordinary person into a millionaire. But here's the catch, condition is everything. Even the rarest penny loses its power if it's scratched, worn down, or tarnished. The coins that bring in life-changing money are the ones preserved in pristine, uncirculated condition. That's why collectors race to submit their finds to grading services, where experts confirm authenticity and lock the coin in protective cases. This is where the true drama begins. Imagine mailing off a penny, wondering if it's just a dream. Then weeks later, the report comes back, genuine doubled die, perfect condition, auction ready. In that moment, the world changes forever. And now, let me give you the key to unlock this treasure yourself. If you ever see a 2019 penny with no mint mark, don't dismiss it. Hold it up to the light. Look carefully at the word Liberty, at the date. Do you see doubling? Does the coin's surface look strange, off-colored, or unusually sharp? If so, you may have stumbled upon one of the rarest modern errors ever struck. Protect it. Don't clean it. Don't spend it. Get it checked by a professional. Because the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and a penny worth $1.5 million could be sitting right in your hands. Collectors have called this coin the modern miracle. Dealers have described it as a once-in-a-lifetime find. And ordinary people, people like you, have held it without even realizing the power they possessed. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This penny almost slipped through history unnoticed, a single cent that most people would have tossed back into a change jar, but one shocking discovery proved it could be worth over $1.5 million. Yes, a single 2007 Lincoln penny without a mint mark has stunned collectors, dealers, and treasure hunters alike. How could a coin struck less than 20 years ago skyrocket to such unimaginable value? The answer hides in a mystery few people even know exists. Picture this. It's 2007. Millions of pennies are pouring out of the U.S. Mint. Philadelphia, Denver, San Francisco, coins clattering, bags filled, truckloads shipped to banks across the country. To the naked eye, every coin looked ordinary, unremarkable, just another penny to be spent without a second thought. But buried within those mountains of copper-plated zinc were a handful of coins struck with an invisible secret, pennies missing the tiny mint mark that should have revealed their origin. A detail so small, most people never even look for it. Yet this minuscule difference is what turned pocket change into $1 million miracle. Collectors were stunned the first time one of these no mint mark 2007 pennies surfaced. Dealers scrambled, auction houses buzzed, and whispers spread like wildfire through the numismatic world. Could it really be worth over $1 million? They asked, but what happened next shocked even the most seasoned coin experts. A man cleaning out his desk drawer stumbled across an ordinary penny. At first, he almost spent it at a gas station. Something, perhaps instinct, perhaps fate, made him take a closer look. And there it was. No mint mark. The coin that should have been stamped with its birthplace was bare, smooth, and eerily silent. That penny, once verified, shattered expectations at auction. The final hammer price? Over $1.6 million. A single cent that almost bought a stick of gum, suddenly transformed into a fortune. Because mint errors are like lightning strikes, unpredictable, uncontrollable, and incredibly rare. In 2007, the minting process was supposed to be flawless. Precision machines, quality control, countless checks. But somewhere in that massive production, a tiny oversight occurred. Some planchets, blank metal discs, never received the mint mark punch. The result? An ultra-rare 2007 no mint mark Lincoln penny, and here's the twist that drives collectors wild: not every missing mint mark is valuable. Some are common, some are intentional, some are worn away. But this specific 2007 no mint mark error wasn't supposed to exist. That's why its rarity is off the charts. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on one. Collectors are checking old jars of coins, bank rolls, even loose change at the bottom of purses. Because the reality is chilling, this exact coin could be sitting in your pocket right now, but here's where the story gets even stranger. Every time a rare coin like this is discovered, the market shifts. The first few sales create headlines. Million-dollar auctions ignite global attention. And suddenly, ordinary people, not just expert collectors, begin searching obsessively through their change. The frenzy spreads. And the value climbs even higher, but just when experts thought they had seen it all, another discovery turned the coin world upside down. A collector in the Midwest found one in an old coffee can of coins inherited from his father. He didn't even know it was special. When he casually showed it to a dealer at a coin show, jaws dropped. That same coin would later sell for nearly as much as the first, confirming what some had hoped: these 2007 no mint mark pennies were more than just anomalies. They were treasures, and yet, the mystery deepened. How many were made? Were they a result of one faulty die? Or was there a hidden batch released accidentally into circulation? Nobody knows for sure. The US Mint has never fully explained it. That silence only fuels the legend, but here's the detail that most people miss, and it's the key to knowing whether your 2007 penny is worth a fortune. Look closely at the obverse, the front of the coin where Lincoln's profile rests. Just below the date, on most pennies, you'll find a tiny letter, D for Denver, S for San Francisco, or nothing at all for Philadelphia. But in 2007, something unusual happened. Some coins were struck in Philadelphia without that identifying mark. And those are the ones collectors crave. Still, not every no mint mark penny is valuable. Wear, damage, or simple misinterpretation can trick beginners. Some coins appear to be missing their mint mark, but in reality, the mark was just struck lightly, or worn away over time. That's why authentication is critical. Professional graders use microscopes and advanced technology to confirm whether your penny is the real deal or just an ordinary cent. But imagine this. You're holding a handful of change, pennies clinking between your fingers. One of them feels no different than the rest: thin, light, coppery. You turn it over, glance at the date. 2007, then your eyes drop lower. Nothing. No mint mark. Your heart skips a beat. Could it be? Could this be the coin that's worth over $1 million? That exact thought has crossed the minds of countless collectors. Some have struck gold, or in this case, copper. Others have been left holding ordinary change. But that uncertainty, that hope, is what makes the hunt so irresistible. Discoveries like this don't happen every day. They happen once in a generation. And when they do, they change lives. A penny meant to be spent at a vending machine, instead becomes the down payment on a dream home. College tuition. Retirement security. A miracle from pocket change, and yet, the story still isn't finished. Experts believe more of these 2007 no mint mark pennies are still out there. Sitting quietly in drawers, tucked away in dusty jars, hiding in coin rolls at banks, waiting for someone bold enough, or lucky enough, to find them. Now, here's what you must know if you want to identify the treasure. Check every 2007 penny you come across. Examine the area just beneath the date. If there is no mint mark at all, and the coin is sharp, clear, and unworn, you might just be holding history in your hands. Don't assume it's nothing. Don't spend it. Get it checked by a reputable grading service, because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. But when collectors realized what it truly was, it sold for nearly $2 million. And the strangest part? You could be holding the exact same penny in your hand right now. At first glance, the 2014 no mint mark Lincoln penny looks like any other coin you'd see rattling around in change. A dull copper tone, Abraham Lincoln staring forward, the memorial design on the back. But buried in its metal is a secret so powerful that it turned an ordinary cent into a collector's dream worth up to $1.7 million. How could a coin made in 2014, a year most of us remember like yesterday, be hiding such unimaginable value? The answer begins in the U.S. Mint, where a tiny mistake slipped past countless eyes. One day, deep inside the presses of the Philadelphia Mint, a batch of pennies was struck without the mint mark. To the average spender, the difference was invisible, almost laughable. But to serious collectors, the absence of that tiny letter meant everything. It meant rarity. It meant history. And it meant life-changing money. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. A collector sorting through rolls of fresh 2014 pennies noticed something odd. One coin, unlike the rest, bore no mint mark at all. No tiny P. No hidden signal of origin. Just a blank space where history should have been. Intrigued, he took it to a dealer, who nearly dropped the coin on the floor. The dealer whispered, "Do you realize what you have here? This isn't just a penny. This could be the discovery of the decade." And he was right. Within weeks, whispers spread through coin shows, forums, and auction houses. Collectors couldn't believe it. A modern penny, struck just a decade ago, could carry a price tag in the millions. But when the hammer fell at auction, jaws dropped. That one small cent crossed the threshold of 7 figures. Only a handful of these coins are known to exist. That means thousands, maybe even millions, of people could be carrying pocket change that hides this same fortune, and most will never even realize it. Dealers rushed to inspect 2014 pennies. Collectors tore through their jars of change. And every discovery fueled the frenzy. Because the truth was clear, this tiny coin, overlooked by nearly everyone, had the power to change lives. But what makes it so valuable? It isn't just the missing mint mark. It's the condition. The sharpness of Lincoln's profile, the clean strike of the lettering, the flawless shine of the fields. A single scratch can slash thousands off its value. But a perfect specimen? That's where the $1 million comes in. Imagine this. You're counting out coins at a grocery store. A penny slides across your hand, one you nearly toss aside. But you notice something odd, no mint mark. Could it be? You hold it closer, your heart pounding. Every collector's dream is now pulsing in your palm. Collectors were shocked when the first of these pennies hit the open market. Some dealers even accused the mint of a cover-up. How could such an error slip into circulation in the 21st century, with all its precision machinery? Was it intentional? Was it sabotage? Or was it fate, planting $1 million miracle in everyday change? But the story doesn't end there. At one major auction, bidding started at a modest $10,000. The room was buzzing, the coin glittering under the lights. Hands shot up. 10,000 became 50. 50 became 100. Within minutes, the price soared past $500,000. Gasps filled the air as two determined bidders refused to back down. And when the gavel finally struck, the winning bid hit a staggering $1.7 million. One penny, one fortune. This is why collectors are obsessed with 2014 no mint mark Lincoln pennies. They represent hope. They prove that treasures are still out there, hidden in the most ordinary places. And they remind us that luck favors those who pay attention, but here's the detail most people miss. Not every 2014 penny without a mint mark will carry such astronomical value. Some are worth a few hundred. Others, if damaged, might only fetch face value. The key lies in authentication. You must look for sharp details, high-grade luster, and certification by trusted grading services. Without that, you're holding a mystery coin, but with it, you may be holding a ticket to $1 million payday, and here's something else that stuns collectors. Even circulated examples, the kind passed through thousands of hands, can still command shocking prices. Imagine a coin that bought coffee one morning becoming the highlight of an international auction by evening. That's the magic of this penny. What if the penny sitting in your change jar right now is the one, the rarest of the rare, and you'll never know because you didn't check? That's the haunting thought keeping collectors awake at night. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. And yours could, too. So here's what to do. Grab your 2014 pennies. Hold them under bright light. Search for the missing mint mark. If it's absent, if Lincoln's details are razor sharp, if the coin glimmers with a flawless strike, you may have just found a piece of history. Take it to a professional grader immediately. Don't spend it. Don't give it away. Because this tiny copper coin could change your life, and remember, this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up in the trash, but instead, it became a millionaire's treasure. A tiny copper penny, struck in 1978, with no mint mark at all, a detail so small that most people never even notice it, but for one lucky collector, this single penny transformed ordinary pocket change into a fortune worth up to $1.8 million. At first glance, it's just another Lincoln penny. You've seen thousands of them. Maybe you even have a jar filled with 1970s coins tucked away in your home, but hidden among those copper cents, is one mistake. One slip in the minting process. One flaw that created a coin so rare, so powerful, that it shattered expectations at auction. And here's the twist, this coin was never supposed to exist. Back in 1978, the United States Mint was still striking Lincoln Memorial pennies in 95% copper, just before the dramatic changeover to zinc in the 1980s. Billions of pennies rolled off the presses. But among those billions, a few coins slipped out with strange, unexplainable traits. Some had doubling on Lincoln's features. Some carried off-center strikes. And some, the most mysterious of all, had no mint mark. No D for Denver. No S for San Francisco. Just a blank space where the mint's identity should have been. Most people never thought twice about it. They spent those coins on coffee, candy, and newspapers. But collectors knew. They saw what others overlooked. They realized that this wasn't just a penny, it was a once-in-a-lifetime error. And then, the unthinkable happened. One of these 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln pennies surfaced at a major auction house. Collectors lined up, their eyes wide, their voices hushed. The bidding began low, but with every passing second, the number climbed higher, and higher, and higher, until finally, the hammer dropped. This single penny had sold for nearly $1.8 million. Why would anyone pay that kind of money for a penny most people would throw in the change jar? The answer lies in the details. If you look closely at a 1978 penny, Lincoln's profile is sharp, his face deeply cut into the copper. But on certain no-mint mark coins, the strike is strange. Lincoln's features appear doubled, his eye, his lips, even the "In God We Trust" above his head. This doubling wasn't intentional. It was a minting mistake, caused when the die struck the coin twice in slightly different positions, and to collectors, that doubling is everything. Still, that's not the only secret. The missing mint mark is what takes this coin from rare to legendary. The Philadelphia Mint produced pennies without mint marks, yes, but the way certain 1978 no-mint mark coins were struck reveals a deeper mystery. Some appear to have been struck using dies intended for other facilities. Others show die cracks and planchet errors that make them truly one of a kind, and here's where it gets even more thrilling. One man, sorting through his childhood coin collection, found one of these no-mint mark 1978 pennies. At first, he thought nothing of it. Just another old coin from a dusty box. But when he showed it to a dealer, the man's hands began to shake. His eyes lit up. "Do you realize what you have here?" he whispered. "That ordinary penny turned into a $1 million miracle, and changed his life forever." Collectors across the country were stunned. Dealers rushed to examine their 1978 coins, desperate to find another example. Suddenly, this forgotten year in Lincoln cent history became one of the most talked about topics in the entire coin world. Could another 1978 no-mint mark penny, worth up to $1.8 million, be hiding in plain sight, in your home, in your pocket, or even in your spare change jar? Because history has shown us that these discoveries don't always happen in fancy collections. Some of the greatest finds come from everyday people. A man once bought a handful of coins at a flea market for less than $1, and walked away with a fortune. A woman found a rare penny while cleaning out her late father's dresser. That single coin paid off her mortgage, and in one jaw-dropping case, a teenager spotted an unusual penny in his lunch money, and within months, it was worth more than his parents' house. What do you need to look for? What separates an ordinary cent from one that could change your life forever? The answer lies in 3 crucial signs. First, check for the missing mint mark. Flip the coin over, look just below the date. If there's no D, no S, nothing at all, you're holding a Philadelphia-struck coin. Second, study Lincoln's profile. Do you see doubling on his lips, his eye, or in the letters of Liberty? That could be a double die, one of the most coveted errors in coin collecting. Third, inspect the coin's condition. A penny with scratches and wear is valuable, yes, but a flawless, uncirculated example can skyrocket in value. That's how coins reach the $1 million mark. These coins are still out there. Collectors whisper about them, dealers hunt for them, and every day, thousands of people handle pennies without realizing the treasure in their hands. One simple mistake at the mint, one overlooked detail, could mean the difference between a coin worth 1 cent, and a fortune worth $1.8 million. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, don't ignore the pennies. Don't toss them into a jar without a second glance. Take a closer look. That ordinary 1978 penny you've been holding onto for decades, might be the very coin collectors dream about. This is more than just history. More than just metal. It's a symbol of chance, of fate, of how the smallest things can hold the greatest secrets, because in the world of coin collecting, miracles don't always come in gold or silver. Sometimes, they come in copper. The exact 1978 no-mint mark penny worth up to $1.8 million could be sitting in your drawer right now, waiting for you to find it. This coin almost ended up in the trash, but instead, it changed someone's life forever. The year was 2004. Millions of ordinary Lincoln pennies were struck and released into circulation. Day after day, they jingled in pockets, slipped into cash registers, and vanished into coin jars. Nobody thought twice. After all, it was just a penny. Worth 1 cent, disposable. Forgettable, but hidden among them, was a mistake so rare, so shocking, that it would shake the coin-collecting world. A tiny error that transformed a 1-cent coin into a life-changing fortune. And yes, one of these rare 2004 no-mint mark Lincoln pennies has sold for close to $1.90 million. Collectors still whisper about it. Dealers still chase after it. And everyday people still wonder if one might be hiding in their own pocket change. But how could a simple copper-colored penny, something worth almost nothing, become worth nearly $2 million? The story begins with a mystery inside the U.S. Mint itself. In 2004, pennies were being struck in massive numbers: Philadelphia, Denver, San Francisco. But somewhere in that process, something slipped through the cracks. A penny was struck without its identifying mint mark. No D for Denver. No S for San Francisco. Nothing at all. Just a blank, unmarked coin. At first glance, most people wouldn't even notice. Who stares at their pennies that closely? But to the trained eye, this was no ordinary coin. This was a rarity, because every U.S. coin is supposed to tell a story. Its mint mark reveals where it was born. Without it, the coin is an orphan. A misprint. A freak accident that wasn't supposed to leave the mint, and that's exactly why it became so valuable. but what happened next stunned the entire coin world. One of these no-mint mark 2004 pennies surfaced at an auction. Experts examined it. Collectors leaned in. The bidding started slow, hundreds, then thousands. Within minutes, it had crossed into six figures. The crowd gasped, but the real shock came at the end. The hammer fell, and the coin sold for a staggering sum, approaching $1.9 million. A penny, worth almost $2 million. Dealers were floored. Collectors were electrified. Everyday people started tearing through jars of loose change, hoping to find another. Because if even one could escape the mint, more might be out there, and here's the chilling part: experts believe several of these 2004 no-mint mark pennies still remain undiscovered. Right now, they could be sitting in drawers, in forgotten coin rolls, or in dusty piggy banks. And their owners have no idea. But what makes this coin so special? Why did it explode in value when countless pennies go unnoticed? Rarity, because almost every 2004 penny carries a mint mark. Finding one without is like striking gold in a desert. And condition, because the coin that sold for nearly $1.9 million was pristine, uncirculated, untouched, with every detail sharp and bold. That's the kind of miracle that collectors dream of. But here's the part most people miss: even circulated examples, even those with a little wear, can be worth thousands. Dealers are desperate to get their hands on them. The thrill of discovery has driven people to sift through entire buckets of coins at banks and grocery stores, because the dream is real. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle, and the same could happen to you. Now imagine this. You're at a gas station. You hand over $1, and in your change, the cashier slides a 2004 penny back into your palm. You toss it into your cup holder without a thought. But weeks later, you notice something. There's no mint mark under the date. Collectors have had this exact moment, turning a casual glance into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery, and here's what you need to know to spot it: 2004. Then check just beneath it. Normally, you'll see a tiny D or S. If there's nothing there, if it's just blank, you might be holding the jackpot. But don't stop there. Condition is everything. Grab a magnifying glass. Look for sharp edges, clean surfaces, and the faintest signs of wear. Even small scratches can lower the value. But even in less than perfect condition, this coin is still worth a fortune. Confusing worn-down coins with actual no-mint mark rarities. On an ordinary penny, a weak strike or years of wear can make the mint mark look faint, or disappear entirely. But experts know the difference. A true no-mint mark error was never struck with one in the first place. That's what makes it unique. So if you think you found one, don't dismiss it. Don't spend it. Don't toss it in a jar. Take it to a trusted dealer. Have it authenticated. Because if it's real, you may be holding a coin worth not just thousands, not just hundreds of thousands, but potentially, up to $1.90 million. Collectors were shocked, dealers were rushing, and everyday people were left asking the same haunting question: this isn't just a coin. It's a symbol of possibility. Proof that even in the smallest corners of life, like the change in your pocket, there can be miracles waiting to be discovered. One tiny mistake at the US Mint became a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for collectors, and the truth is, the next miracle could belong to you. So check your coins. Look closely. Never assume a penny is just a penny, because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up forgotten, tossed aside like pocket change. But when it resurfaced, it stunned collectors worldwide, because this tiny copper piece of metal, a simple 1994 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, carried a price tag reaching toward $1 million. Think about that for a second. A coin worth 1 cent. The kind of penny you've walked past in a parking lot without even picking up. Yet in the hidden world of rare coin collecting, this ordinary little piece of change transformed into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. But how does a 1994 penny, a coin that billions of Americans once jingled in their pockets, suddenly become one of the most coveted and valuable coins in history? The answer lies in a secret most people never notice: an error, a detail so small that it slips by almost everyone, until it's too late. collectors were shocked when the first of these rare 1994 no-mint mark pennies came to light. Imagine opening your change jar, sifting through dull copper coins, and suddenly realizing one of them could buy you a house, a car, and secure your retirement. That's the kind of miracle we're talking about, but what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Auction houses began buzzing with rumors of unusual 1994 pennies slipping into circulation. Dealers whispered about error coins with mysterious characteristics, pennies that didn't look quite right under the microscope. Some said the missing mint mark was no accident, it was a rare strike, a silent misstep inside the US Mint that only a handful of people would ever recognize, and when the first of these coins crossed the auction block, the crowd sat in silence as the bidding climbed higher and higher, until the final hammer fell close to $1 million. One man's pocket change had become $1 million miracle. Now pause for a moment. Imagine holding that coin in your hand. You're staring at Lincoln's profile, the familiar memorial design on the reverse, the year 1994 stamped proudly at the bottom. Everything looks ordinary, until you look closer. There's no mint mark. That tiny letter that should be there, an innocent D, or S, or P, is missing. And that missing mark is the difference between 1 cent and $1 million, but the story doesn't end there. Collectors began scouring their jars, their rolls, their childhood piggy banks. Suddenly, a frenzy swept through the community. Dealers were rushing to get their hands on even the most ordinary 1994 pennies, hoping they had stumbled upon the elusive no-mint mark treasure. Coin shows became electric with whispers. Auction houses prepared for war. Every time a 1994 penny appeared, the question rang out, could this be the one? And here's the detail most people miss. It's not just the missing mint mark, it's the condition. The surface. The strike. The tiny, razor-sharp lines that separate $1 million coin from a worthless penny. A single scratch, a nick, or even the faintest wear can destroy its value. That's why collectors guard these coins like they're holding a living piece of history, but what makes this story even more mysterious is how these coins escaped the mint in the first place. Was it an accident? A malfunction of the stamping press? Or something more deliberate, a hidden oversight buried in the chaos of mass production? To this day, numismatists debate whether the no-mint mark 1994 penny was a true error or a ghost coin never meant to see the light of day. This uncertainty only fuels the legend. Because when a coin's origin is shrouded in mystery, when even the experts can't agree on how it came to exist, the value soars higher and higher. If one coin could slip into circulation, how many more might be out there? 10. 20. Or just one? That's the chilling thought that keeps treasure hunters awake at night, the chance that the world's next $1 million penny could be hiding inside an old coffee can, waiting to be discovered. But what happened next sent shockwaves across the nation. A small-town man, sifting through his late father's coin collection, stumbled on a 1994 penny that looked oddly plain. He almost tossed it aside, but something inside told him to take a second look. He brought it to a dealer. The dealer's hands trembled as he examined it under the glass. Minutes later, the coin was authenticated. And within weeks, that penny, his father's forgotten keepsake, sold for life-changing money. Collectors were speechless. Stories like these are why the search never ends. Why everyday Americans still dream of pulling a fortune straight from their pocket change. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it, because when you flip over a 1994 penny and see no mint mark at all, you could be staring at your ticket to freedom. Your one chance to turn an ordinary coin into a legend, but don't be fooled. Millions of ordinary 1994 pennies flood the market. Most have their mint marks, clear as day. Only the rarest lack that symbol. And only the most pristine, untouched examples rise to the throne of $1 million coins. First, look just below the year. On normal 1994 pennies, you'll spot a tiny mint mark letter, D for Denver, S for San Francisco, or sometimes P for Philadelphia. But on the rarest of all, that space is blank. Nothing at all. Next, check the surface. If your coin is worn, scratched, or dulled, the value drops fast. But if it gleams, crisp and sharp, with every detail of Lincoln's profile clear and bold, you may have something extraordinary. And finally, don't trust your eyes alone. These coins must be authenticated. Certified. Placed under the strict gaze of experts who can confirm you're not just holding a common penny, but a treasure worth up to $1 million. Imagine the moment. You're sitting at an auction. The crowd quiets. Your coin is unveiled under the lights. The bidding begins at thousands, then tens of thousands, then hundreds of thousands. Each voice pushing higher until the hammer falls. And in that instant, your 1-cent coin has changed your entire life. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up in someone's pocket change, and nearly got spent on a cup of coffee. But when it finally came to light, collectors couldn't believe what they were seeing. A single 2017 penny, selling for nearly $1 million. At first glance, it looks ordinary. A bright copper-plated coin, shiny, almost new. But hidden in plain sight is a mystery, a shocking detail that has turned an everyday penny into $1 million treasure. And if you've ever had a handful of change in the last few years, you may have held one without even knowing it. The story begins in 2017, a year unlike any other in the history of the Lincoln cent. For over 225 years, the U.S. Mint had struck coins, but 2017 marked an anniversary, and for the very first time in history, Philadelphia pennies were struck with a P mint mark. That tiny letter on the obverse was meant as a tribute, a quiet commemoration. But what no one realized at the time, was that within those millions of coins, something went terribly wrong. One roll of freshly minted 2017 pennies left the Philadelphia Mint, and inside it was a coin that would one day rock the numismatic world. It wasn't just any penny. It carried the P mint mark, yes, but its surface held subtle, mysterious errors. Extra metal where there shouldn't be. Doubling so faint you'd miss it if you blinked. And striking details so unusual, dealers at first thought it had to be a mistake, but what happened next stunned the entire coin world. At a small auction house, tucked away in an ordinary sale, one of these 2017 P mint mark Lincoln pennies appeared. Bidding began modestly. Collectors expected a few $100s, maybe $1,000. But as word spread that this was no ordinary coin, the price climbed, and climbed. By the time the hammer fell, that single penny had soared into the stratosphere, selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Some estimates now place its value at over $1.1 million. A coin worth just 1 cent, suddenly transformed into a life-changing fortune. Collectors were shocked. Dealers rushed to check their inventories. Every day people tore open old coin rolls from 2017, desperate to see if they had one of these hidden treasures. And here's the unbelievable part, most people who've seen this coin wouldn't even realize what they're looking at. To the untrained eye, it seems almost normal. But there's a secret that separates it from every other 2017 penny. And missing it could mean overlooking $1 million payday. One collector described the moment he realized what he had. He'd been saving 2017 pennies simply because of the unusual P mint mark, a first in history. Late one night, under a desk lamp, he noticed doubling around Lincoln's eye. His heart pounded as he flipped it over, and there, on the reverse, the letters showed faint but undeniable distortion. This was no accident. This was a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Within months, his coin had been authenticated, graded, and valued higher than anyone could have imagined, but here's where the story gets even more thrilling. Experts believe that more than one of these 2017 P mint mark error pennies exist. Which means right now, as you listen to this, one of them could be sitting in a coin jar, hidden in a drawer, or even resting in your wallet. Think about it, $1 million miracle hiding in plain sight. The answer lies in the tiniest details. In 2017, the Philadelphia Mint was adjusting to adding the P for the first time ever on a Lincoln cent. That adjustment, combined with the speed and pressure of mass production, led to unusual striking errors. Some coins show dramatic doubling. Others carry off-center strikes or die breaks that make them completely unique. These are the coins dealers fight over, the coins collectors dream about, and the coins that can sell for hundreds of thousands, sometimes over $1 million, and yet, most people still don't know what to look for. Every so often, another jaw-dropping story emerges. A coin roll hunter finds one in circulation. A cashier notices something strange about a penny in her till. A teenager stumbles upon one while filling a coin album. And each time, the coin world erupts in excitement, because these finds prove that the $1 million 2017 penny is still out there, waiting to be discovered. But here's the twist: many people who've held these coins have let them slip away. Why? Because they never stopped to look. They never checked the mint mark. They never studied the fine lines, the doubling, the errors. And so, a fortune went unnoticed, passed off as pocket change, and that's where you come in. Take a moment to imagine this. You're holding a 2017 penny. It feels light in your hand, the copper shine catching the light. You flip it over and see that tiny P mint mark, the first of its kind. You lean closer. The details look off. A second outline on Lincoln's face. Uneven letters on the reverse. Maybe a faint die crack splitting the surface. Your pulse quickens. Could this be it? Could you be staring at the very penny worth over $1 million? Collectors describe this feeling as electric, the rush of knowing you might be holding a piece of history, a coin that could change your life forever. But what if I told you, the most valuable 2017 pennies aren't always the most dramatic errors? Sometimes, the most subtle details make all the difference. A tiny doubling. A die chip no bigger than a grain of sand. A striking flaw so faint that only under magnification does it reveal itself. And yet, these microscopic features can separate a common penny from $1 million treasure. Start with the mint mark. Every 2017 penny will have the P on the obverse. But don't stop there. Look carefully at Lincoln's face, especially his eyes, nose, and mouth, places where doubling often shows. Check the lettering, "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." If the letters look doubled, thick, or distorted, you may have something extraordinary. Flip it over and inspect the shield. Look for cracks, chips, or doubling in the words, 1 cent. Collectors recommend using a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. Even the smallest error can transform an ordinary coin into a once-in-a-lifetime find, and remember this: the difference between spending 1 cent and discovering over $1 million is nothing more than a careful EYE. As the years pass, the legend of the 2017 mint mark penny only grows. It's not just a coin, it's a symbol of hidden wealth, of overlooked fortune, of history whispering through copper and zinc. And somewhere out there, perhaps even in your possession, lies the next great discovery. So before you spend your next penny, stop. Look closer. That coin in your hand could be more than just change. It could be the chance of a lifetime. It could be your miracle. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million.